What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Unpopular Opinions. We are now on, what is this, episode 3. Episode 3. I've got my buddy Evan here. Evan, say what's up.
What's up?
What's up, guys? Me and Evan are going to be talking a couple things today. We're going to be doing baseball. This is another segment of Around the Diamond. And we got a couple things today. First off, trade deadline happened about a week and a half ago. We're a little bit late getting to this, but we're just going to kind of recap the trade deadline, a little bit of winners and losers who we thought did really well coming out of the trade deadline, who could have done a lot more. And then we're going to play a first rousing game of baseball Would You Rather. Looking forward to that. So that'll be a lot of fun. But let's kick it off with the trade deadline. Evan, what did you think? Let's start American League. What did you think? Winners, losers, who won, who lost in the American League this year?
I'm going to start off with the Yankees. I do believe the Yankees made a good push with Sonny Gray. I believe that's going to be a good addition to the Yankees. They definitely needed to kind of shore up a couple of things on their team, and Sonny Gray was one of those fits. As for a loser in the AL, I'm going to go Boston. I was very surprised Boston picked Addison Reed from the Mets. I didn't really think that he was the best pick for Boston, but maybe they saw something I didn't. I just didn't feel like he was a good contributor. Via NL winner, I'm going to go Dodgers, hands down. Dodgers definitely have shored up some pitching with Darvish and Tony Watson. By far, I thought that was the winner of the entire trade over the MLB. Losers probably for the NL. Well, I don't think any bad teams did too bad in my opinion. I think everyone in the NL basically exceeded their expectations of what I thought they would do. But definitely the AL, there was a couple of surprises that I thought were a big hit. Biggest loser for the AL, another mention, would be the Astros. I mean, they're just a team that was just dominating in the first half of the season. And you believe that they would come out and actually, probably get something to shore up their pitching. I mean, their pitching is, kind of hurting a bit or getting at least worn down. You think they'd shore up a couple spots with their rotation maybe just to kind of get more of a stronger push. But I don't know. I think that's going to hurt the Astros later in the playoffs and maybe later in the season here.
Yeah, that's true. That's some good points. So, yeah, obviously the Yankees and the Dodgers probably looking at the two biggest winners right there with the Yankees getting Sonny Gray. And then a couple weeks before that, while getting Jaime Garcia from Minnesota, and then also the Todd Frazier trade, getting David Robertson, proven closer, and Tommy Conley and Todd Frazier, all from the White Sox. Yankees really made some moves. Like I said a couple weeks ago, they're really in a position to be wheeling and dealing. They had the farm system. They've always got that big bank in New York. So, yeah, the Yankees did what the Yankees do, and that's own the trade deadline. I'd give, for a second place winner in the American League, I'd probably go the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they were a big surprise. I think they had a lot of underrated moves, and the Rays were in a position where they're kind of in the middle. They're in that wild card hunt. But they had a good stretch right before the All-Star break or right before the trade deadline that allowed them to make some of these moves, and they made a host of moves. You got Dan Jennings from the White Sox, Lucas Duda from the Mets, Steve Cishek from Seattle. They made a host of very underrated, under-the-radar moves. They also dealt Ryan Garden, and they had a minor deal with the Mariners for a couple people. But the Rays really, they made some pretty decent moves in the trade deadline. But for the American League, I'd definitely give it to the Yankees. A big disappointment. The two big disappointments in the trade deadline, I think, were both in the American League. The Baltimore Orioles and the Houston Astros. I mean, like you said, the Houston Astros, where were they? They didn't even show up at the trade deadline. And, there's probably a certain amount of people saying, well, the Astros owned the American League West, they really didn't have to do much to secure that division. But if I'm Houston and I haven't really competed since 2005 for a World Series, I'm really looking to pick up more. I mean, they got Francisco Liriano from Toronto, but not a whole lot going on in Houston. And then finally Baltimore, the other upset in the American League. I mean, you know, they got Jeremy Hellickson from the Phillies, but, you know, Hellickson's been very inconsistent the past couple of years since coming from Tampa, and, you know, just a big disappointment in Baltimore. They're right there in the wild card hunt, and they just kind of waved the white flag at trade deadline time.
I thought Baltimore actually. I gotta say something about Baltimore. I'm surprised they actually didn't trade Zach Bryton. I thought he would be a good trade. I thought he'd be a good trade from them, but I guess not too much. People wanted him, or they were asking a little too much for him. I mean, Zach Bryton got that, you know, he's got that potential there, but he's also kind of pushing off that weariness of, well, do we really need him, and is he going to stay consistent? Well, I thought Zach Bryton was a good try to get rid of for Baltimore, but I think they might have been asking a little too much, and that's probably why they didn't succeed on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point. And maybe they were kind of caught in the middle, because they made some deals to acquire some people, and Zach Britton would have been a definite white flag if they would have given him up. I mean, he's an amazing closer, outstanding closer for Baltimore there. So he was definitely a trade commodity. And I guess by not giving up, they were, you know, really set on making that wild card. But I mean, there's like 6-7 teams in that AL wild card race, and you know, they just didn't really make the moves to justify keeping him. But we'll see how it pans out. Moving into the National League for me, obviously the Dodgers made a host full of moves with the Yu Darvish trade and things of that nature. I really thought Washington was going to maybe do a little more, but they did pick up Howie Kendrick from the Phillies. They got Brandon Kensler from Minnesota, your Minnesota boy, a closer. So Washington did make some moves. They're really looking for a closer, and that Kensler trade really shored them up. You know, they didn't make a big starting pitching splash, but they didn't really need to. I mean, that starting rotation's pretty solid. So Washington had a suitable trade deadline. I'll say that. They weren't shocking anybody, but they did enough, I think, to contend with the Dodgers in the playoffs. Even though, if you haven't heard, the Dodgers have gone 44-7 since the beginning of June. I mean, absolutely tearing it up. They're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. Finally,
sure.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the Cubs. Cubs would be another team that I would have brought in the NL. They shored up a right pitcher for Justin Wilson, and then they also got a catcher, Alex Olivia. Both, I think, very good for their team. I think the Cubs are struggling a bit from their post-World Series run last year, but these two trades are basically going to, I think they'll prop them up just a little bit more, try to get them into the playoffs a little bit, but I don't know if it'll be enough to make them another World Series contender, but it's definitely an interesting trade to kind of quote out there.
Yeah, that's true. And they got Jose Quintana earlier before the trade deadline really hit. That was a big move for them to shore up that rotation, and it's been paying off. I mean, the Cubs have been on fire since the All-Star break, since the trade deadline. They've overtaken the Brewers for that NL Central, and it looks like we're going to see Chicago back in October baseball this year. Just a team that was underwhelming in the National League for trades. You know, I mean, just a lot of people in the National League did kind of, they just kind of treaded water. I'll say Washington, the Rockies with getting Pat Neshek from Philadelphia definitely helped. Getting Jonathan Lucroy, even though he's having an off year, gives them a pretty solid guy behind the plate. I don't really know. I mean, I guess you could say the Diamondbacks. They got, you know, John Ryan Murphy from the Twins, who was in AAA when they got him. The Diamondbacks didn't do a whole lot. They got a pitcher, David Hernandez from LA, but the Diamondbacks really, and then Adam Rosales from Oakland. I forgot about that. So the Diamondbacks really didn't do much at all, and they're in a great position this year to really, you know, they probably won't overtake the Dodgers, but to make a 1 or 2 wild card spot. And if they make it past that, either Colorado or Arizona is not going to be a wild card team to stomp on and somebody that just barely got in there. These are two 60-win teams right now, and they're probably going to be 90-win teams at the end of the season. So, I would have liked to see Arizona do a little more, but, that's kind of the underwhelming team. I have a question for you real quick, though, about the trade deadline, and I've been kind of scratching my head on this one. So you're the Twins fan, and we don't talk a ton of Twins baseball on here because I don't get to have you on here that often. But explain the Jaime Garcia thing, man. You trade for him one week, you trade him away the next. What's going on there in Minnesota?
I'm kind of looking into that, and I thought Garcia was definitely a good trade when we got him. Played him for a game when he got us a win, and I thought, that would be something good to go with, but all of a sudden they were like, you know what, let's trade him for a couple other pitchers. They're just kind of relieving pitchers. I mean, they're not any pitchers that I thought would stand out. I mean, I don't even know their names. That's how much I don't even know about these two pitchers that they traded for Garcia. And they traded him to the Yankees for a little bit of money as well, and I was just like, wait, why are we not keeping Garcia? I mean, I thought he'd be a good starter, to help with rotation. Especially with Kyle Gibson being just absolute garbage this year. I mean, he is just struggling very, very badly. But apparently, I mean, I know we've had pitching problems in the past here, and it's just continued for a while. Really only had we'll probably go 4 pitchers. Mejia, the new pitcher, kind of this year, he stepped up to the plate. Santana, he's come out of the woodwork, showing and improving himself once again. Barreros, our little young star of our pitcher, he's come out, and I think he's had a very good year. I mean, he's had a couple of games where he struggled a bit, but he's always seemed to push through and show that he's not afraid to come back and show what he's got for pitching. But again, with that Garcia trade, I thought, it'd be one more good starter just to kind of have and fill that rotation up a bit. But then all of a sudden, after that Garcia trade, it just seemed like a lot of our management kind of just got flustered a bit, because I think of our owner and stuff, he really just I feel like he just dropped the ball and kind of gave up on the team. He didn't really, push the team in a better direction. He was getting rid of people like Kinsler, our closer. I thought Kinsler was a great closer. He was doing very well for the season, and then all of a sudden we traded him to, Washington. And I'm like, well, why are we getting rid of our, potential closer here? Especially when at this time, we were only, probably 2-3 games behind Cleveland, if that. I mean, it was just, the whole state of Minnesota, in my opinion, was just kind of just shocked, would be the word for it, that they just kind of gave everybody up. But maybe they're playing for the long term here. That's about the best I could look at it. Coming in, and because we've definitely shored up our hitters, and the hitting is just fine. I mean, you got your slumps and stuff, and you still got a few younger guys that are trying to learn their swing. But overall, I would say the Twins have done very well offensively, but that's why I was kind of mad when we were 2 games behind Cleveland and they just started giving all the pitching and stuff away. So I'm a little miffed about that one, but again, that's why I'm not an owner of an MLB team. So hopefully they figure something out here, and we'll have a good push for probably next year. Not saying that we're out of it already, but now that what's perspired to the team, I'm a little surprised if we actually make the playoff run this time. So
yeah, that's true. It's just not too often you see a team do that, make a trade, a week before the trade deadline, and they just to recap so people know what we're talking about. The Twins acquired Jaime Garcia and a AAA catcher, Anthony Recker, from the Braves for a relief pitcher on July 24th. So about a week before the trade deadline. He made one start, I believe it was a quality start, 6+ innings, less than 3 runs. I mean, it was a pretty good start.
Yeah,
and
it was
then,
a good start.
Yeah, in that week, on July 30th, they traded Jaime Garcia to the Yankees for 2 minor league pitchers, one in AAA, one in AA, Dietrich Inns and Zach Littell. So and before that trade, I believe, before that trade on July 27th, they gave away John Ryan Murphy, who was at AAA at that time, a AAA catcher for them. But it's just weird that you don't really see that often in a week. A team completely flip a switch and go from, okay, we're in this, we're going to compete, to, let's wave the white flag a little bit. And then they also, on the 31st, they gave up their closer, Brian Kemsler, to the Nationals for Tyler Watson, a pitcher. So it's and a low A pitcher at that. So it's not that often you see a team do that. You're right. It's not like they're completely out of it or anything, but they definitely looked like they were charging forward, looking for that playoff spot. And in a week's time, they kind of took their foot off the gas and said, "Well, let's think about this." So I don't know. We'll see. One more quick thing, just on the trade deadline, just in case. I know there's a lot of Rangers fans listening. The three big trades that the Rangers made were Jonathan Lucroy to the Rockies for a player to be named later. We discussed in the past who a couple names could be because that happened right before our last podcast. Don't have any word on that yet. And then they traded Jeremy Jeffress back to the Milwaukee Brewers. Just a real minor deal there. They got Taylor Scott, a double-A pitcher. And then finally the big one, trading Yu Darvish to the Los Angeles Dodgers for second baseman / outfielder and Willie Calhoun, who's in AAA, a relief pitcher or a right-handed pitcher in AJ Alexi in low A, and a shortstop, Brendan Davis, in low A ball. So those are the three big Rangers trades. Really stocked up the farm system with Willie Calhoun and that Yu Darvish trade. But, the Rangers were in a sell mode, I think. I think they had it in the back of their mind, and the way they played in July really solidified that sell notion. And, we saw them cash in on that prospect, which, like we said before, is really the right move. So having said all that, Evan, is there anything you'd like to add on the trade deadline before we move on?
That's about all I got.
All right. Well, let's move on, and then we're going to play a little game here. And it's Would You Rather, but it's with a little spin, and that's a baseball spin. We're going to play baseball Would You Rather. Now, I figure we'll just trade off questions. Would you like to go first?
I will go first.
Okay. Shoot.
Would you rather throw a perfect game once during the entire season and just have that stigma of saying that you threw a perfect game, or would you rather win 10 games in a season that could potentially lead you to the playoffs and possible World Series win?
Okay, if I pitch the perfect game, is that the only game that I pitch all season?
No, it's not the only game you pitch all season. It's just the only perfect game you'll have your entire life.
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to be selfish on this one. I want the 25th or 26th all-time perfect game. I think I'm going to go with that. I mean, I'm all about the team, but if you've got an opportunity to pitch a perfect game, that's real baseball royalty there. Yeah, I think I'm going to go perfect game. What do you think?
I would actually go with the 10 games in the season. I would rather go into playoffs and World Series just for that atmosphere. That by far is more exciting compared to a perfect game. Yeah, you have that. That is a very big accomplishment, but that's for one game. And not too many people will remember just the one game, but they can go back and remember all the games that you played and did very well in, even if it was like one hit here or maybe a couple runs there. You could still be a very, very successful pitcher even without a perfect game in your record.
Oh, come on, man. Everybody's remembering a perfect game. Come on.
You might
just
have it on the stats book. No.
Is it on the stats book? Okay, this is how it's going to be. Okay. All right, well, screw your question. We're moving on to number 2. All right, Evan. Would you sign right now, not when their career started, right now, would you sign Bryce Harper or Mike Trout to a 10-year contract? And a 10-year contract for one of those two is probably going to run you around $350 to $400 million. Now, the price is the same either way. Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, right now.
Mike Trout, hands down. Mike Trout would be my pick.
Mike Trout, huh? What's
Just,
your reasoning?
The reasoning is that I think Mike Trout is more of a team player, very good, whereas Bryce Harper's kind of him. He's like all about himself, I feel like. He's very good at what he does, but I'd rather have Trout, who's going to teach younger players and have that same charisma that he did, like he always had. And, I mean, he just, in my mind, has proven himself very well overall past just the playing of the game, but actually being, like, good outside the game as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's an interesting point. I would actually probably go Mike Trout, too. My reasoning being he's a center fielder. He's a premier position, whereas Bryce Harper's a right fielder. He's a very good right fielder, but they're both Gold Glove outfielders, but Mike Trout plays up the middle, premier position. Mike Trout's also a little bit more of a base dealer, a little more well-rounded than Harper. I think there's a lot unknown to Bryce Harper right now. I think this last couple of years, ever since he came off that injury, I think he's proven himself to be an elite player. But, I mean, Mike Trout's been doing it since he was 20. Bryce Harper, if you don't, so Mike Trout just turned 26, for those of you who don't know, yesterday. Bryce Harper is, I believe, 24, about to turn 25 here in the next month or so. So, you know, you're getting a little bit younger player in Harper, but with Trout being the more well-rounded guy, and Trout's, I think, just a little bit more proven in the MLB. I got to see more from Bryce. Having said that, they're both amazing players, but I just got to go with Mike Trout. I think they're both elite players, but right now, I'm going Mike Trout. I'll agree with you on that one.
All right. Would you rather play on your biggest rival's team, so your biggest rivals for the Rangers, of course, the Blue Jays, would you rather play for them, or would you rather be a loyal fan to the Rangers even though that they would probably never win a World Series?
Hold on. So let me understand the question. I'm playing for my rival team, or
Correct.
I'm rooting as a fan for the Rangers.
But if you root for them, they won't win for a World Series guaranteed for 10 years.
So I can either play Major League Baseball for a rival team or stay as a fan and root for the Rangers.
Exactly.
Man, I don't know. And what rival team is it? Is it the Astros, Blue Jays, or Yankees?
It could be whatever team is probably your least favorite. Which this year I would probably say it would be the Astros just because they've been killing your division. But I'm not going to say the Astros because they have the potential to win the World Series and that'd be a pretty easy answer. I'm going to say the Blue Jays because I know the Blue Jays have always been pounding on the Rangers, especially the last couple of years.
Am I a starter? Like,
Yes, yes. You are a starter.
So I'm a starting center fielder for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's a good question. If we were talking college football and you were saying I was suiting up for A&M or OU, this wouldn't even be a question. Baseball rivalries aren't, besides the Red Sox, Yankees, besides, the Cubs, White Sox, which has cooled in recent years, there's not a whole lot of, huge rivalries. Some of the old school teams have some, but how long do I play? Is it just for 1 year, or do I sign a contract on this?
You got 1 year.
1 year. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to play Major League Baseball. I would give my left foot to play Major League Baseball. I think I'm going to play Major League Baseball. And whenever we played the Rangers, I would bunt every time up to the plate. I'd just bunt it right back to the pitcher. What about you? What's your answer?
Oh, I would definitely play baseball. I mean, I love my Twins, but I would definitely play baseball for my biggest rival.
Yeah, you got to. I mean,
it's a once in a lifetime thing, man. That's what I would believe.
For sure. I totally get that. All right, my next one's a two-parter. So there's two questions that kind of go together. All right, so first off, would you rather end your career with 5 MVPs or 5 championship rings? Granted, on the championship teams that you played on, you're a bench player, a rotation player. You're not a starter. You're not an impact player.
How often am I playing?
I mean, you're a normal utility guy. You might get in once or twice a week.
Now, when I'm an MVP, does that mean I don't win any championships regardless?
No, you end your career with 5 MVPs, no rings.
You know what? I would go with a utility player with a championship.
You're a little ring hungry, are you?
Yes, and the fact is because you can be on the worst team ever and still be the most valuable player, and that doesn't mean a damn thing, to me at least. Now, I'd be a utility player. A utility player, even though you're only in maybe once a week or something like that, you could still do very well and stand out to get to that championship. By no means will you be the MVP, but you could still make a big impact on these games that you play to get your team into that spot for the World Series, which gives you more notice that way.
I go back and forth on this one. I really, I'm ring hungry too. I love it. But to win 5 MVPs, I mean, who does that? That's like Willie Mays status. So I don't know. I love the rings. I'd probably go MVPs. I mean, that would be sick. And if my team doesn't make the playoffs, guys who never win rings are remembered all the time and make the Hall of Fame. Adrian Beltre might do it. He's never won a ring, and so I don't know. If I can win 5 MVPs, that's a big deal.
No, I'm not saying that's not a big deal at all. I'm just saying it depends on what kind of team you're on as well.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on a really good team and you're MVP, then yeah, you're going to stand out in the Hall of Fame for sure. But you can be an MVP 5 times in a row, but still be on a team that is just garbage, and you're the only reason they've won a lot of games, but you're never going to get to that playoff spot. I mean, that a lot of people would question why you always stuck with that team, and there'd be just a lot of controversy, I think, behind that decision. Whereas if you're a utility player, I mean, yeah, they're going to expect you to be able to fill in the job when you need to, and you're still going to have a successful, sport team to win. So, I don't know. I see your reasoning for the MVP, but I would still go for the rings, just because I'd rather win a championship than go in and just be the best player.
Yeah. Well, you're going to love the second part of my question because it's going to make you think even harder. So now the stakes are raised. Would you rather win a championship ring and never make the Hall of Fame, or make the Hall of Fame with 0 rings?
Ooh. That one's tough. But I do, like I said, everyone knows from this podcast so far that I do like winning championships.
He's ring hungry, folks.
However, to get in the Hall of Fame is a big, big step. Now, what is my reasoning for getting in the Hall of Fame? Is it just an overall good player, or am I in there because of certain hitting?
No, you're in there because you suck. What kind of? You're in there because you're a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, but every Hall of Famer has what they were good at, more or
Whatever,
less.
you threw out more base stealers than anybody in history. For those of you guys that don't know, listening at home, this guy's a catcher, former catcher. So yeah, we'll go with that. You did something crazy behind the plate.
Oh, okay. Ooh, God. That's still tough. I think I'm going to go Hall of Fame. I honestly think I'd go Hall of Fame because that is the next step up over a championship in a way.
You're ring
yeah.
Wheaties.
I mean,
You're not eating breakfast, Evan.
I would like to win a championship. I mean, it would probably kill me not to win a championship. But just to get to the Hall of Fame, to be a special amount, there's only special people that get into that Hall of Fame wall. But now, if they allow steroids into the Hall of Fame, like steroid users, such as Barry Bonds, A-Rod, lots of other players, then I wouldn't care about the Hall of Fame regardless, and I would go championship ring.
Okay, yeah. And that's a whole other debate issue we're going to have to debate on because I've got my own feelings on that. But moving on. All right, give me one more long answer one, and then I've got some rapid-fire questions for you to end us out.
All right, would you rather, I think we've kind of debated this one already. So would you rather do nothing on a team and make tons of money, but you're doing like water boy, maybe wiping down the benches before games, very like maintenance stuff to help the team prepare for their games when they play? Or would you rather be very famous and get paid virtually nothing, so at the end of your career, of your baseball career, you would have no money to live off of that whatsoever, but you have your fame that's always going to be in the history of baseball?
Well, real quick, going back to my question, I'd go Hall of Fame over a ring any day of the week, just to clarify that. Being in the Hall of Fame is so rare. It's such an amazing accomplishment. But moving on to your question. I don't really care for money that much. I would want the fame. Not just the fame. I would want to play Major League Baseball. You can make money doing all kinds of things when you're done. If I got out of the game and I hadn't made a dime, the memories and the feeling of suiting up in a Major League uniform would be more than enough to satisfy me for the rest of my life. So I'm going to go with the fame. Fame and fortune. Well, no fortune, but fame.
Let's add a little curve to it. All your stuff, your jerseys and your memorabilia that you would have during that season would be sold off and you would never get to keep any of that? Are those memories still good enough for you in your head? Or the stuff that you would take, your like jerseys and stuff like that and your rings, that's all gone?
Who's stealing and selling my rings and jerseys on eBay? Like, do I not get that money? What's going on here? What kind of messed up fantasy is that?
You were sued in an automobile accident.
What?
Hey man, I'm just saying, would you rather? This is the situation.
This isn't Sims, all right? Just get to make up your. We're not playing Grand Theft Auto right now, where you just get to make your own character. And just you get hit by a car too. Like, no, what? Well, I don't want to be in an automobile accident to begin with, but. This is my situation. Would you rather do this or this? You know what? You're getting pretty freaking crazy. I think you just want me to say that I'd take the money and clean the players' shoes with my bare teeth or something. I think that's what you want me to say. Is
that what you want to do?
That's not what I want to do. I told you what I want to do.
Well, there you go. All I did was add a simple twist.
No, you're just, you're twisting my arm off is what you're doing, trying to get me to go the other way, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, Evan.
I never was twisting your arm. I just gave you a simple situation.
All right. Well, what would you do?
Me? Oh, that's easy. I would rather play baseball and get paid nothing, because I already know what my career field is going to be in, and it's going to be public service.
Yeah.
That stigma. That's what?
Well, what if you got in an automobile accident and you got crippled for life, and you have to you have to crawl on your knees because they're all out of wheelchairs now at the hospital, and your knees get all bloody and cut up from walking on the cut up sidewalk, and your children don't talk to you because they don't want to, grandfather who's got bloody knees every time they go to see him at the nursery home, and and your daughter becomes really fat and eats too much McDonald's and gets diabetes, you got to pay for her health bills. How about that? What if that happens?
That's pretty extreme, but in that case, just give me the money. I wouldn't care then, because that's pretty rough. I mean, that's pretty easy. I mean, you didn't really twist my arm on that one. I was just like, hey, the more he goes on, I'm just going to be like, okay, I'll just take the money, man. Whatever. Just go pay for all the season tickets and go watch the damn game.
Oh God! All right. Well, let's get out of here. I got some quick fire questions for you, and we'll leave the folks alone because they're probably thinking we're crazy right about now. Okay. You ready for these rapid fire?
Sure. Let's try it out.
All right. You're an MLB owner. In the MLB draft, are you taking a power or a finesse pitcher?
Oh, I'm going to go finesse pitcher. I think if you got a good enough finesse pitcher, you can boo any hitter.
Going with a finesse pitcher. All right. You're playing in the MLB. Are you breaking Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak or Cal Ripken's 2,000-plus consecutive games played streak?
I'm going to go with the first one.
Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak?
Yep, because that's pretty damn hard to beat.
That is, but, I mean, 2,000-plus games played, that's pretty nuts. The Iron Man.
Yeah, but that's just a matter of being healthy, though. Anybody can be healthy. Takes a lot.
Yeah, well, you know what? No. We're gonna put a pause on the rapid fire. You know what?
No. This is rapid fire.
No, we're gonna just time out real quick. You go to work. 2,400. You know, I'm gonna look it up real quick, and we're gonna move on while I'm looking this up. And I'm going to keep on asking you rapid fire. But, you know, you go to work however many days in a row. And, okay. We're going to move on while I'm looking this up. Are you breaking Nolan Ryan's 5,714 strikeout record or Cy Young's 514 wins record?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to go Cy Young awards.
No, not. Oh, Cy Young's record?
Excuse me, record, yes.
With the wins record, yeah, that record will never be broken. No pitcher, hardly any pitchers pitch that many games, let alone get to, that's ridiculous. Well, both of those will be hard to beat, but there's no way Cy Young, the way the game's played now, it's not happening.
Pitching has definitely changed from back then. You've had pitchers back then that would pitch like every other game, literally every other game, compared to where you got 10 pitchers now that pitch like 10 games.
Exactly. That's never going to get touched. Okay, 2,632. You go to work 2,632 days in a row, and you tell me how easy it is to break that record.
I mean, it's pretty easy to stay healthy.
No. You have a sick day? There's no calling in sick. 2,632 days in a row, my friend. 2,006. You know how many days that is? There's 365 days in a year. You do the math. That's a lot more than a year straight.
Yeah, it's fine. I know a lot of people that can stay healthy for a couple years. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I bet.
It really isn't.
All right. I've had enough of you. Okay. If you're the MLB commissioner right now, are you making the entire league play by NL or AL rules? DH or pitchers bat?
NL. I like the AL, but today's hitting is ridiculous. Anybody can hit the ball and it's flying out of the park almost every time. Now, to watch a game where a pitcher is striking people out, like just almost like perfect games, and you get like 10 strikeouts a game, 15 strikeouts a game, that's kind of fun to watch too, even though it's low scoring. I think everybody's wrapped up in the hype of offense. I want to see some defense where the pitchers are basically the new big players. Because they have to come out and hit, too. And not a lot of pitchers can come out and hit. Whereas the AL, you have that designated hitter, and they're just going to come out and just, I'm going to find the best guy that can hit a home run and just throw him in the lineup.
That's true. Okay, I see it. All right, I got 3 more for you, and we'll wrap it up. Right now, if you're retiring, or not if you're retiring, if you're a current player right now, would you rather win a Gold Glove or a Silver Slugger award?
Ooh, give me a Gold Glove.
Gold Glove, defensive man. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you're behind the plate.
I gotta go Gold Glove. It's more entertaining to watch all these people really get these defensive plays.
That's true. That's true. That's why you're behind the plate, man. Solid defender. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, last two. Last two. These are tailor made for you, Evan Weinzierl. Right now, you're the owner of the Minnesota Twins. You can sign one current player to help your franchise. Who are you signing? Pitcher, batter, doesn't matter. One player.
I mean, we've already signed him, and of course we're gonna go Big Sexy. You can't go wrong Big Sexy, man. He's the oldest player to throw a complete game, and he's well enough. He's proven that he's a good pitcher and a good hitter. So in my book, he's improved the team.
What is he, 3-9? He's got like an 80 RA.
Hey man, when you're that old, let's see you go out there and pitch 10 game win streak.
No. He doesn't have a 10-game win streak. He's got 3 wins.
I mean,
what are you talking about?
Not every pitcher's going to be perfect, Chuck. Not every pitcher's going to come out and go, hey, I'm just going to win 20 games this year. Let's go, team.
He's not even close to perfect. He's terrible.
He's just having a off year.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, no, I'm not counting that answer. One current player to turn your franchise around. Who's getting the Twins into the playoffs in 2018?
Well, if I can't choose Big Sexy, which everybody loves, I'm probably still going to go with a pitcher, and I was going to actually go with your man, Yu Darvish. I think Yu Darvish is still a young enough player to help get our starting rotation, that empty spot, kind of filled. And I really think that we just need one more good starter to kind of keep us within winning our division and pushing us into the playoffs.
You're signing Yu Darvish. All right. Well, just for my answer, for my own benefit, if I'm signing one person to get the Texas Rangers into the 2018 playoffs, I'm going to go ahead and either sign Mad Bum, Madison Bumgarner, or Max Scherzer right now.
Why Max Scherzer? Why does everyone kiss his butt? Max Scherzer is so overrated.
Have you looked at his stats? You can't possibly be. You know what? We're at the last question. I'm not getting into this. Let's finish this up. Okay. If you could play for any team besides the Minnesota Twins or the Colorado Rockies, who are you playing for? Who are you suiting up for?
And I can't be the Rockies or the Twins.
Can't be the Rockies or the Twins.
That's very interesting. Now, is this my career building up that I could be eventually traded to these teams? Or do I never play these teams, period?
This isn't a long-term question. This is a 1 year, you're getting drafted by this team, whatever. This is just a 1 year thing. This isn't a long-term question.
Well, you gotta go. Are we going with how good the teams are this year now?
No, just history of the team, how much you like the team. Everybody has a clean slate. It's a new year.
Dodgers.
The Los Angeles Dodgers, huh?
Lots of history there. Lots of history there, and they are still a very good team. Always very competitive.
That's a fair team. That's a fair team. For me, I was thinking about this the other night. I'd probably either go, I really love the Colorado Rockies, and that would be very high on my list. My top 3 would probably be Boston Red Sox, Colorado Rockies, and I was actually thinking about the Dodgers. Those would be 3 pretty cool teams to play for. I love the Red Sox. I would love to be able to play in Fenway 82 games out of the year, 81 games out of the year, or whatever. That would be pretty insane.
Just the atmosphere itself in Boston is always interesting. So. Oh,
yeah, for sure. Boston's, pretty crazy, 100-plus-year-old stadium. I mean, that'd just be nuts. But anyways, well, Evan, we're about out of time here. We covered a lot of things. Before we get going, do you have anything to say to the folks? Please don't make it stupid.
Oh, yeah, okay. For all the folks that are listening to these podcasts, by all means, Chuck does not know it all. I have some very good knowledge, so if you feel like Chuck is a little out of line, don't you worry. I'm always here to put him back in his spot.
All right. Well, everybody that's listening, that was episode 3, episode 3. keep on listening. Keep on checking Facebook for new episodes. We'll try to get them up every week. We're going to have a college football episode coming up in the next few days. What? We're going to get some football on the agenda. But for now, that's episode 3, Unpopular Opinions. Like the Facebook page, or like the YouTube videos. Subscribe to the channel. This has been another episode of Around the Diamond. I'm Chuck Taylor. He's Evan Weinzierl. And we're going to get out of here. See you, man.
See ya.